Recently, Greg from the Mentally Advanced series got hyper bitchy and said that the analysts weren't capable of being negative or critical of MLP anymore.
But the reason why I did that was because the analysis community, they're kind of in a box where they can talk about My Little Pony, but they still have to be sort of reverent of it these days. They're kind of trapped. They say, this is what I liked about this episode, and I'm really looking forward to the next one.
A serious analysis of MLP, even though this is the same guy who pissed and moaned about Digibro when he was around, not to mention Fat Man Falling, actually just won Analysis Daily's latest tournament, and he's more than capable of being critical, Greg.
Popular episode is actually gonna be watchable. One thing I couldn't stop thinking about during this episode was the base level difference between their jobs, and the difference between a high skill floor and a high skill ceiling. Celestia is foremost a diplomat, and if you've ever spoken to another person, you have a basic idea of what a diplomat does. Hi, how's the weather? It's raining. Is this an election year? I thought you were a monarch. Oh, right. Raise the umbrella tax. See, it's really simple. However, the skill ceiling of diplomacy is very high, with things like mastering the art of subtlety, or figuring out when it's appropriate to relax into your extremely potent resting bitch face.
But let's not stop there. This is Tricky Fox for the runner-up to Analysis Daily's tournament.
Interested to see how the changeling civilization would express themselves when rebuilding their home, changing from a dreary cave into pretty much anything. Seeing an overgrown shell of their former home, not a good start. It seems to me the most effort put forth was rebuilding the throne for Thorax.
Well, repairing a giant castle like that does take some time, though it is most likely meant to represent how the changelings changed themselves. This place used to be in the middle of a wasteland, and now nature came back to this forsaken place. And since changelings are pretty fairies now, it probably meant to show that they are in tune with nature.
I would still put more effort in putting a roof back over the throne room.
Well, in any case, this episode was somewhat foreshadowed in Triple Threat as Forex mentioned his brother and other renegade changelings. My biggest issue with this episode actually is that Forex conveniently managed to convince all those renegade changelings to join him off-screen thanks to Amber's lesson in assertiveness. Well, that certainly is a lot of wasted potential.
Is he capable of being critical? And just to drive the point home, let's go back to Fat Man Falling one more time.
Hard to learn in the first place. Like, using dream magic is a completely separate skill that Celestia doesn't have.
But my magic isn't powerful enough. I thought if we work together, it has to be you.
To use a more, human metaphor, imagine someone coding an app and someone marketing that app. Now, the coder can market the app. Probably not very well, but as long as they let someone know it exists, it has technically been marketed. The marketer wouldn't be able to code the app unless they already knew how to code. Do you get the difference? But now it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Which leads us to today. I was tempted to overcompensate because of this huckster over here, a has-been who's thoroughly been pissed off because his abridged series hasn't lived up to DWK's Total Legit Recaps. Which, don't let the name fool you, it's an abridged series.
Oh, well, fuck me. That almost sounds like something a relatively sympathetic character would say. However, if there's one thing I know about Discord, it's that he'll give me plenty of fresh reasons to hate him before the episode is over. Right, so, Dickbag here decides to actually return the favor and host the next T-Jerk with Buttershush, so he goes shopping. Okay, hold on. This is a guy who can open holes in space-time and creates life to use as a towel. Are you seriously telling me he needs to run to the china shop for a tea set? Or wait, is this possibly implying that he doesn't actually create the stuff, he just summons it in from somewhere, so he can't conjure some Earl Grey because he doesn't have any in his dimensional stash?
It also inspires more thought and humor than Mentally Advanced ever did. A nihilist, dystopian reimagining of MLP that got to be a tired meme after a year of its inception.
You're being worst.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So hey, you maybe want to hang out for a while and talk about our traumas?
Not really.
Oh, come on. Talking constantly about things that make you sad or angry is the surest way to help you forget those things and get over them. Otherwise, you just get all bottled up, and then I think you get a brain disorder.
Oh. Well. Well, that would answer a lot of questions.
It's okay, you go first. Uncork that bottle and pour the contents out.
Well, I guess sometimes I worry that I take care of a lot of animals to make myself feel better, but the truth is, I can't even take care of myself.
That only is championed by other bronies incapable of enjoying the show anymore. I was going to sit here and just focus on everything wrong with the MlP movie, but that's not even remotely fair, just to show up this nasally dork. So here's the shorthand answer of MlP's first pony movie for Generation 4. Some of you people have had massive chips on your shoulders about this, that, and the other since 2013 due to Equestrian Girls, and then Rainbow Rocks in 2014, and then Friendship Games in 2015, and Legends of Everfree in 2016, which didn't even bother for a theatrical release. That series has run its course, which is now being relegated to YouTube Shorts. If memory serves me right, we're going to get about 20 or so of those. It's taken us 3 to 4 years for MlP, well, to have MlP in it, and not some crappy Bratz knockoff. Has it been worth the wait? Have the stars aligned? Have the fruits of DHX media paid off? And is this going to lead to a dynasty of rich and fulfilling sequels? Well, as of now, the movie has brought in $29 million. I'm sure that will have moved up by the time we hit publish on this video.
Sir, I don't think that's what people want to hear, but since we're on topic, how much did that bad boy cost?
About $35 million. So the long and the short of it is, if you liked the movie, and you can't wait to see the next one, be either good as or better than, boy do I got some bad news for you. And that's the real shame. If this movie was going to lead to a marked improvement, much like Rainbow Rocks did over the first Equestria Girls, we could have had a real winner in the making here.
Sir, are you saying you didn't like the movie?
I love this movie, and all its faults. Here, let's do a side-by-side comparison. Is the Storm King and/or Tempest better than Sunset Shimmer and Equestria Girls 1? Hell, Tempest and the Storm King's only real competitor, if you look through all the Equestria Girls movies, I would have to argue would be the Dazzlings. And let's be hypercritical. Their best moment was punking Sunset Shimmer in the hallway for failing. Like, don't get me wrong, that was pretty epic, but so what if they verbally browbeat Sunset? Doesn't goddamn Flash Sentry do the same thing in Rainbow Rocks?
Now that's the bad girl we love to hate!
Like, how hard is it to fucking verbally score on Sunset Shimmer and Rainbow Rocks? Everybody and their mom does it.
Sir, didn't Tempest just beat up 3 alicorns who routinely job out in every fight that they're in? Which includes such enemies as the plants and the goddamn weather.
Yeah, MlP kinda needs to work on this one. If you want it to look epic for a brand new enemy to run roughshod over alicorn princesses, you better start letting them do something. Christ, they had a big moment to use their powers to change the sun and the moon.
You already have all the magic you need.
So, that'd be a no?
Which could have been some way of causing the unwanted attention, which would have led to the invading force noticing where to go, which would then in turn explain at the end of the movie why they shouldn't have done that in the first place, and you could have had a little moral lesson, not to abuse their powers. 2. It would explain how Tempest found Equestria on this day of all others. In short, is Tempest and the Storm King better than the Dazzlings? Of course they are. They didn't look like fucking Bratz dolls. Does the movie look better than Equestria Girls? The MlP movie does take some getting used to. The animation does look different. But have you seen the swaying hips on Rainbow Rocks? No, really, go back and watch this. I want you to tell me, no matter how bad you thought the MlP movie was, let's judge it head to head with some of the cringiest animations and bullshit in Rainbow Rocks, which is held by pretty much everyone as the best Equestria Girls. Is the MlP movie setting better than any of the Equestria Girl movies? Yes. Seeing as how the first and the third Equestria Girls movies are the retelling of the show's pilot, I never could finish Legends of Everfree, and Rainbow Rocks' story is basically Battle of the Bands. And don't get me wrong, for such a schlocky concept as a teenage high school, Rainbow Rocks does deliver, as opposed to, let's say, Air Pirates, or A Town Full of Scoundrels, or a Gen 1 callback that doesn't suck. I'd argue that Sea Ponies are the best ones so far. But when you're competing with Breezies and the GAC, you really don't have anywhere else to go but up. So, a plot that takes us through a fantasy, magical setting versus a high school, or say a camping trip. Is that even close? For all the problems with the MlP movie's plot, whether it be why of all days did Tempest invade that day, and no, I don't care about the comic. The fact Twilight Sparkle just abandons friendship at the worst possible time ever, and Pinkie Pie is a labor until she gets to her big magical number. But hey, maybe that was the point. To show the fans, your patience for your friends will eventually reward you. I'm assuming everyone who felt personally slighted by Equestria Girls wanted this. I wanted a big fantasy movie that would ultimately end up being a little more dark than the movie normally allowed for. Now, if you're the kind of guy who only watched the show for slice of life and actually liked Applejack, you're gonna have a bad time. We can gloss over no Discord or no Starlight or no Trixie, and naturally, it's weird that they're just not there. But if you want a super easy explanation, you could state that the movie simply happened before the end of Season 4, which would explain why there's no Starlight, no Trixie, and Discord was a lot less reliable. I'm not saying that's the case. A quick reason not to worry about this, that, and the other? Well, there you go. So unanswered questions? Well, was any of this canon for the show? Will we be seeing Tempests sometime in the future? How about Cat Guy over here? How about the pirates? Are they coming back? I'd like to see the airships on the show, and seeing as how Hasbro has a toy line for them, I wouldn't entirely rule that out. Sadly, since we never got to see the Storm King's kingdom, much like we didn't get to see Tyrix, I'd have no idea what we lost out on. It's kind of sad that we have more reasons to go back to the rundown dump that is Griffinstone than, say, whatever the Storm King ruled over, i.e. a kingdom that had magic that could wreck 3 alicorns. Maybe it's the same place that made the magical comic book that Spike ended up getting in Power Ponies. Closing thoughts? If we don't get a sequel, look at the bright side. As the ponies make more and more powerful friends, it's gonna be harder and harder to suspend disbelief that said friends aren't around to help. Which again, if this movie happened pre-season final, that would explain why there was no griffins, no yaks, no dragons, no changeling allies to help out. So till next time, field burns, a plague spreads, all for no good reason. And don't forget to check out How Not to Brony on Fan and Frenzy, and the latest King of Limbo.